Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another video with Swaggle Darkhawk 1 and CGC 9.8. Might as well call this book very fine. Now, luckily it still has some value because it is a Darkhawk book. I mean, minimum 8 figures right there. But if only it was a CGC 9.9, then you'd start to have some real money for your comics and your collectibles. And so in this video, we need to talk about some of the recent market sales going on for CGC 9.9s and ultimately ask ourselves the question, is the 9.9 now the new comic book 9.8? Of course, as you guys know by now, whenever I pose the question at the top of the video, the answer to it is always yes. But of course, before I get into it, if you guys could like, comment, subscribe, I would appreciate it. Help support the channel, doing those things. But let's get into this video here today. Now, if you guys don't know, comiclink, one of the big auction houses out there in the collectible space, is having its end of the year auction, and they got a lot of big books in there, and specifically some of the books that I felt like making a video about here today were of the 9.9 variety. Now, there have been quite a few CGC 9.9s in this auction go up for sale. I'm just going to kind of scroll through and show you guys, all the 9.9s that actually exist in this auction. Still a couple of them currently going on at the time of recording of this video. We have a Walking Dead #1 and X-Men 137, etc., etc. But the ones I wanted to focus on were the Dark Knight 1, the Daredevil 181, and the DC Comics Presents 26, all of which selling for absolutely ridiculous numbers compared to their CGC 9.8 counterpart. Now, of course, you guys are thinking, Swaggle House, well, why does that matter? Of course, they're going to sell for ridiculous numbers based on how rare they are compared to the CGC 9.8 census, to which I say to you, viewer, hold your horses. I'm getting there, okay? I understand that they're going to sell for ridiculous numbers, but at the end of the video, we're going to talk about why we actually think these books are better than that of CGC 9.8s. Well, here you see it, folks. The first one I wanted to talk about, Daredevil 181. Of course, this is the Death of Elektra issue, classic Frank Miller book right here. And as you'll notice, it is in an old CGC label, 9.9 mint right there. And you look at this book and you think to yourself, yeah, it's a great looking book. Colors are really solid. Feels like the spine is really nice and tight. There you see the back right there. I mean, a little bit of a misalignment, miswrap. It seems like the advertisement is tilted slightly to the left right there, if you ask me. So I don't know if wrap is a consideration with the 9.9s and 10.0s of CGC, but in my opinion, it feels like that is where you could start to sort of nitpick on those types of things. A little bit skinnier up here on the top versus down here in the bottom. But again, maybe by the guidelines, this book right here is determined to be a CGC 9.9 compared to all the other 9.8 copies that, people send in to CGC. And here you have Daredevil, Death of Elektra 181. CGC 9.9s only have 6 on the census. That one's selling for $6,100. Did I tell you guys the price? $6,100. A big number, especially when you compare it to that of the CGC 9.9, which has 1,484 on the census and a fair market value 30-day moving average of $188. $188 for 0.1 less than that of the 9.9, which is $6,100. And frankly, when you look at this book, and then you look at this book, you're like, are they really so different? What is really the difference here? Maybe this is a bad example because I can actually see that the wrap on that one is a little bit crooked. So is this one. But this one, look at it. Corporate wants me to determine what the difference is between these two books. They're the same book. It's like that office meme that everybody uses of Pam. You look at this, and you look at that, and you look at this, and you look at that, and even if it is true that somehow miraculously this book is just that much better than this book right here, the question is it really worth it? Is it really worth paying $6,000 more to have your hands on this book just to say that it's higher grade than that of the CGC 9.8? Well, to somebody out there, it's definitely worth it. Now, before I really get into all my thoughts with this, let me kind of move on and show you guys some of the other recent sales. Now, we also had this one right here, Batman, The Dark Knight Returns #1, CGC 9.9, single highest graded. Now, this one admittedly is pretty interesting. There you can see, of course, the classic Frank Miller book. I guess Frank Miller actually had a couple, copies of his work that hit the 9.9 range. But this one right here, of course, the classic story. And it ended up selling for the insane price of $25,429, well into the five-figure range for this beautiful copy right here. And I must say, when you do look at it, at least at the scans provided here, you're like, okay, yeah, this is a perfect looking copy. I mean, spine looks great. I mean, maybe you can kind of zoom in here, and I don't know if that's a little thing in the corner. I mean, I've made jokes on the channel before about 9.9's that didn't actually have, perfect alignments and perfect, non-color breaks and all that stuff. And this one does look like a very, very solid copy. But you sort of have to wonder, I mean, when you go over to the census here, you see that there's 4,382 universal copies. 9.9's only have one on the census, one compared to the 810 that hit the CGC 9.8 range. Third day moving for that is $846. So this book selling for $25,000 at a 0.1 difference. But the question is this: what makes this a 9.9? What made this book so much more special than the other 810 copies on the census? Now, the Daredevil 181 and the one I'm going to talk about soon, which is the DC Comics Presents 26, those ones were actually in older labels, which means they were slabbed a long time ago. And I think that maybe CGC as a company has, had different policies throughout the years as far as how many 9.9's they're willing to give out, which books deserve 9.9's, versus even now, in today's market where we have a lot of the modern comic books getting 9.9's and even 10.0's in certain situations. But I'm going to table that and talk about that a little bit later on. But again, this one is actually pretty impressive because this is a new label. Actually does have the gold 9.9 up there. You can see that this is a recently slammed book. But I mean, when you look at the other 9.8's right here, I mean, what's the difference? Like, how do they actually tell that a 9.9 is a 9.9 versus a 9.8? Did the person who gave this book a 9.9, were they the ones that exclusively graded the other 810 CGC 9.8's that went through CGC's hands? Because I will say this, as somebody who is a comic book publisher himself and actually did the fulfillment of my Kickstarter, second one coming soon, but actually did the fulfillment of it, I did manually look through thousands of copies of the same comic book, my comic book that I wrote. And I will say, when you look through thousands of copies back to back to back to back, you do start to see certain ones that you're like, you know what, this one actually is nicer than that of the other ones I've seen. But that's me sitting and looking straight through a bunch of other copies, which is why I do think it is possible if you have a bunch of new modern books coming in and you have exclusives and stuff like that. I do think that I can understand why they would give 9.9's and 10's to some of those books, because you're looking at thousands of copies back to back to back. But in this sort of situation where you have like a Dark Knight Returns, it just sort of comes into the office one day, you're sitting at your desk, you got your coffee, you sipping, and you just look at it and you're like, yeah, this one is a 9.9. How can somebody make that determination? It feels like the stakes are really high if you can actually command a $25,000 difference based on the secondary fair market value of the book. All right, let me just cover this last 9.9 sale that occurred, just because this one is probably even the craziest one that happened. But of course, we had a DC Comics Presents number 26, also in a CGC 9.9, highest graded, one of two, sell for $30,000. Of course, the first appearance of Cyborg, first appearance of Starfire, first appearance of Raven, a great, DC book right here, Starlin cover, Wolfman story, selling for the price of a very respectable EV, in today's market at that 30K range. And again, like I've been saying with some of the other ones here, this one, 4,600 universal copies on the census, only 2 9.9's, 567 9.8's out there. And the price difference is a whopping $29,000. I mean, this book is already a tough book in 9.8. I mean, relatively speaking, only 12% hit the 9.8 level. But, when I look at this, again, I take a look at this and then I flip over to this. Then I look at this and this. And I realize that you can't actually make a fair grade of books that are already in the case, but I look at this book right here and I'm like, okay, well, I see a little bit of white on the wrap, and certainly it's not a perfect white. I mean, the white up here is a little bit bigger than the white down here. So again, situation where I don't know if the wrap is making a difference. This advertisement is not particularly centered. The right side is higher up here than the left side over here. This book, on the other hand, looks perfect to me. You know, nice spine, perfect wrap. Let's go to the back. I mean, maybe this side is a little bit bigger than this side over here, so maybe this one doesn't have a centered advertisement either. But at the same time, this book got a 9.8. This book did not. This book got the 9.9. And ultimately, to me, this video is a little bit of a two-parter. Where one, I'm just doing a little bit of a market report right there. You know, these numbers are not going to show up into, you know, the GPAs and the Go collections, things like that, because this is on comiclink. And it is worth sort of having a little bit of a historical record here to talk about some of these monster 9.9 sales. But, you know, on top of that, the bigger discussion, the bigger thing is, you know, is CGC 9.9's basically the new 9.8. I mean, I actually lump in CBCS to this conversation here because, as we know, with the new CBCS label, they put a big emphasis on the fact that there were 10.0's and 9.9's having different colored labels. And I feel like, you know, you don't make new colored labels to not actually end up using those new colored labels. I feel like this is probably a thing that a lot of grading companies are looking towards as, you know, a potential new opportunity. I mean, it does feel like, you know, they should be using 9.9's and 10.0's, like even in a vacuum, right? I mean, I realize that now we've conditioned ourselves to have like 9.8 comic books be perfect, you know, especially since there are a lot of 9.8 comic books like this one right here, that there are no 9.9's on the census that exist of a Dark Hawk 1. There's no 10.0's that exist of a Dark Hawk 1. There's 9.9's of New Mutant 98's. There's 9.9's of, you know, other Copper Age books. Why are there no 9.9's of Dark Hawk #1? Now, I guess everything is different, right? You know, Dark Hawk 1 is a tough book. You know, it's always made on cheap paper. But at the same time, like, you know, I think that they probably think to themselves as a company, as an internal policy, that, you know, it does make sense that in theory, you know, if you have 10,000 Copper Age books submitted to you and, you know, other books of the Copper Age that came out literally at the same time, that were made at the same printer, you know, have 9.9's on the census, then it stands to reason that, you know, every single Copper Age book that came out at that time, if it has enough on the census, there probably should be a 9.9. And it is starting to feel like some of these companies are coming around to the idea that, hey, we probably should be giving some 9.9's and 10.0's, especially on current and new comic books. You know, if the printing materials are better, if the quality of the books that are coming out are better, then it stands to reason, again, that there should be some perfect copies that fall off the printer, especially since, you know, unlike times past, you know, people are literally going straight from the printer, you know, through diamond distribution, basically right to CGC. So, you know, how could it be the case that none of these books end up being, you know, perfect slabs? And I think, you know, for CGC and CBCS, they actually are going to be, you know, happy that that is going to be the case, that they're going to be able to give 9.9's and 10.0's, because a lot of people, you know, if they see that they have the opportunity to CPR some of those 9.8 books, you know, that's just going to create more business for those companies. And eventually, I think we are going to get to the place where the 9.9 is the new CGC 9.8. Well, what do you guys think about this? What do you guys think about these sales? And what do you guys think about 9.9's and 10.0's in general? I think it is a really interesting thing. And I do think that, you know, here moving forward, we will start to see more of these books regularly pop up often, not just in, you know, the modern comic market, but I do think that, you know, some of those Bronze Age comics and Copper Age comics eventually are going to get, you know, the 9.9 treatment. Anyways, that's all I have for this video. That was me talking about, you know, these 9.9's that have been going on sale, lighting up the market. Again, what do you guys think about the 9.9 craze? Do you guys think that we're going to be getting more 9.9 soon? Is 9.9 the new 9.8? And then after that, 10.0 will be the new 9.9. Anyways, that's all I got for this video. Like, comment, subscribe. See you on the next one.